I know these aren't perfect, but they are the first paintings that I was excited and proud that I did. And I do still enjoy having them framed and hanging in my home. And I'm going to learn from both of these to see what we come up with today. So this is 140 pound. This is going to be a bigger painting because when I first started, I didn't realize how much I was going to like smaller paintings. I think I painted it in the sketchbook, but I am going to do it just on a piece of paper today because I like being able to turn the page as needed. But I did do both of these on a full sheet of paper, and then I just centered the frame on the part that I liked the best. So today we are going to try not to see so much of the trunk. I don't love that, at least on all of them. Maybe if there were just one that was like that. For this one, I really would like for there to be 3 layers. So instead of just a light gray and a black, basically, I'm gonna try to have a dark gray in between. I should have activated the paint already, but I'm just trying to do this in real time as I'm thinking of it. So I'm gonna have a bit of black on this brush, but because I can put water through the brush, that's what I'll do. So I'm just gonna squeeze it, and so that way I know it's getting into some water first. So we'll just do some, and add more water because that's darker than I want. That's probably more like the medium gray that I would use. And I try to start this layer with a lot taller trees. Sometimes I forget, and then I feel like I have to go back and make them taller. This one, it doesn't have to have very distinct like branches or kind of like that, but it can. But you can also just kind of fill in a lot, and you don't have to go to the bottom, but that makes it easier for me because then I don't feel like there needs to be a trunk or whatever. It's just anything extra to add to the complication was messing me up in the beginning. This pen does have water inside of it, and that helps to get the lighter first layer going. I think I like it to look kind of like a valley in between, and then the birds can be flying more in the center. I also like to paint wet on dry. I don't like wet on wet because it takes so long for it to dry, and I'm impatient, and I don't want to have like a blow dryer thing going. Okay, I'm gonna stop using this one because it is full of water now. So even though I've been using watercolor for 2 years, I believe, since summer of 2022, things can still go crazy and still go wrong. So no worries, but we will be waiting for this to dry. While this is drying, I can show you my first paintings that I was like, oh no, is watercolor for me? Like, I thought I would be okay at this because I used to do acrylic painting and I really liked that. I really started watercolor in order to paint eucalyptus because I thought it was so pretty. And it was like 6 months before I tried eucalyptus again because I was so discouraged by my first attempt. Okay, wow, that took so long. I've just been working on a video for my other channel like all day, and I keep seeing mistakes in my edits every time I try to upload it to YouTube. So I keep redoing and redoing. It's kind of frustrating. Okay, this part's probably going to be cut off anyway, but it'll give me like a chance to see what it's going to look like. And, you know, I'm using this other brush. You don't have to connect every part. You can give a little space. And I'm probably going to do some voiceover for this because it's really peaceful painting in the quiet, but I mean, it's kind of fun talking too, because then it's like I'm not alone, but sometimes I like being alone. Just try to get it a little larger at the bottom. And this one, I think I'm taking it a bit too far. When I do that, I just go back in, and sometimes I will do a different type of tree. So I will do one that has branches going up. Ooh, I'm not trying to do that splatter, but it's kind of a neat effect. So I was kind of wanting it to go up like to here. So it kind of helps if you mark out where you're wanting to end up. Oh man. Yeah, I don't normally use this brush. Oh, this is where it comes in handy to turn the page so I can get it at an angle. And I was trying to get it a little thicker at the bottom, but not like a super thick tree.
Now back to my story about my first watercolor.
I didn't realize that it was partially because I had used a tube of paint, and I didn't know this until like this year, so 2 years after I had started, that you should squeeze out the paint and then let it sit overnight to dry, because if you use it immediately wet, then it picks up more pigment, and it is kind of more like finger paint, seriously. Like, look at this. You can tell this tree is like wonky, but you know what, like, so is nature. So even though I definitely have some trees, I'm like, ooh, you look amazing and perfect. Like in nature too, I mean. But definitely not all like that. Oh my goodness, I should have stopped. Okay. Okay. But we are going to do another one that's kind of this medium. I'll probably put it right here. Might do it more like a straight section, a straight thing of branches. I kind of like it with the white peeking through, and I kind of wish I'd left more of that. But you can do that if you. Okay. Do one more. I think I'll have it go all the way over to this edge and a little higher. And I think I am going to leave more of that texture. I don't think my other brushes did this kind of texture or something, because I didn't notice it. Or maybe I was just like following a tutorial and trying to do exactly how they did. And less paint so we can still see the next color come through. I think I'm going to cover up enough of the bottom. Ooh, that looks like what happened. But this is why we keep adding layers. I think it's going to come together. Look at me, I'm trying to encourage myself too. Okay, so now I am wanting really dark black. A little higher. Okay, this is how I do. I'm like a little higher than that one, but lower than these. So, and sometimes to make it look right, I end up going up higher. So I start on the lowest end of what I'm thinking I want to do. I started kind of splotching rather than painting. So I'm going to try to go back more to painting. I guess I'm kind of doing a light layer to see where I want to place it, and then I'm darkening it up if I like it, or where I see that it still needs some. Okay, but like I said, I am going all the way to the bottom. So I probably do want it to widen out so it's overlapping this one at the bottom at least. Sometimes it's sad when you're like, oh, I'm covering my favorite tree, like the one that actually turned out. Then I forget which way I'm pointing these branches. Okay. I think I can also, well, if I were going to frame this one, I could also cut off some of the bottom if I didn't like some of what I ended up with. I think I'm going to move on to the next one just because I think that will distract from this one, because this one's like the only bold one right now, and it's like, oh my goodness, I need to get it perfect because it really stands out. But I think in a minute it'll be better. Can't decide if I want to cover up some of this. I'm like, oh, I kind of like it. It almost looks like maybe it looks like a little snowy or something, which I love. Okay. Resist, because you can definitely like overwork your paintings. It's okay. I don't know. Plus, once it dries, I can go back in as well. And again, like I said, when you are not staring at it so closely while you're painting, if you're just looking at it in a frame or something, it can look a lot better. Yeah. Do not like that overlap of these though. And I think I'm gonna dab some darker because this is supposed to be my darkest, like black layer. I'm gonna just briefly share what I'm using, and these are very beginner. Like if you can work with these products, then you can work with most anything. I just got this and the paint from Walmart. So this is not 100% cotton paper, but it works for this project. So both of these are on that paper. And this one is going to be here. Ooh, and almost seems like there should be another one here. Maybe I'll have 4 layers kind of, and I'll just do this one like super black.
I think I should have just turned that dot into a bird instead of making another tree over to the left.
The paint is Daler Rowney. I'm gonna put it on the screen. I also got some of these watercolor brush pen things from Walmart, but these were from Amazon and they have cracked already. It's just my Walmart ones are being used and they have a different color. They have a color already in them, so I'm not using them for this. And then I got this from Amazon. This is a size 6 Princeton round, which everyone was like, if I could only have one brush, this would be it. This is not mine. Like, it's not my go-to favorite, but that's because I paint a lot of smaller things. It's hard even for me to see it. The distinction between the trees. But you know, that's also how trees are. All right, I think I'm gonna add some texture. It just has a little bit of color on it and a little bit of water. Kind of pretty. I just want to be like, not my best work, but now I'm getting a little more, and I do want this to be like pretty black, so I'm getting it wet because this is also bumpy. I'm also going to look at these birds that I did before and kind of choose which ones I like and what their shape is, because the typical like M shape doesn't always look as bird-like, and especially if you do 3 of them, I don't really want them all to look like that. Now that I do smaller paintings though, I have a bird that's like, I'll use a pen like this or this, and so like a regular pen or a marker pen, and do it with that instead. I wonder if I let this dry out too much. It's making me nervous, and I'm also nervous about the placement of these birds because I feel like they could be somewhere different than my other ones. Let me do one here. Okay. I'm okay with that. Not terrible. I'm kind of wanting it to go in front of this, and it's almost like this is more of a mountain than trees. But anyway, kind of. I'm not sure if I want it there or not though. Okay. So you can do bigger birds when you're dealing with a paper this big. That's also what I was trying to say earlier. But of course, that is not. So now I'm going over it. Not was that what I was expecting, but it looks bird-like enough for me, and I don't really want to mess with it. Okay. So then I am gonna do one more that's more like, do it down here or up here. I didn't really mean to do those in a line. Now I feel like it looks funny. Maybe down here. It's been a while since I've done them with a paintbrush or done them like this. Should I leave it or should I darken it? That's always the scary part. Will it bug me later? I think I want this to be thinner at the end. Okay. Don't know if that really helped. And I want this one to be a little darker, especially towards the body. Okay. I think I'm gonna do this and then I'm gonna stop because I'm going to drive myself crazy. Okay, you know, I'm not totally upset about that. Let me get a little more up here. Perfect timing. I'm about to go camping because the people doing yard work are back and it's so loud I can't concentrate on my other stuff, but I think I will do some watercolor painting outside. Uh-oh. Oh no, I can't stop. I'm going crazy. This is kind of wild. Finishing touches. All right, let's stop. I'm gonna, okay. That was like probably 45 minutes or something. And I never get paint on my clothes, but today I did it like 5 times. What? Off we go. Enjoy. Oh, and this was seriously like an hour. Oh my goodness, that's insane.
I did go back and thicken a couple of the trees, the darker ones on the right. I just couldn't help myself, but I did it off camera. And honestly, I think I could still make it a little thicker, but I also think that I would like it better if I were to frame it and hang it up. So if you would like to know more about how to frame your own watercolors on a budget, then you can watch this video, which I will also link in the description.